Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenithan, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. You probably already have an idea of what we're going to be doing today, just from where we're starting out. But if you don't know for some reason and can't tell, or you're just listening in the background just for some background noise, which I know a lot of you like to do, we're going to be going through all of the spoiled cards for today. We got a bunch of them. I don't know the exact number, I could just go and count, but I'm a little lazy. But we have new cards coming up. I believe it is 69. Ha 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 ha. Nice. I think it's like 65 cards and 4 champions that are coming up on. I think the release date is the 25th. I'm not 100% certain on that, so don't quote me on that. But we got the first set of cards to be spoiled today. They were spoiled by the official Twitch Runeterra channel. They had a pretty sweet video, so go check that out if you want to see like a really nice video with some lovely production. I believe they even had some community members doing some cool stuff on that. But if you're just here, if you just want to see the cards and hear my impressions, well, we're going to go through them. We're just going to go through the cards, though, talk about all of them. We also got our first champion. We got Jin. We already know a little bit about him, about how he's going to be the new Runeterra champion kind of thing. And he looks pretty good. I like what he's doing. He looks pretty fun. But we also got a lot of other stuff, as you can see here. I'm doing it this way by just using a internet browser because, in all honesty, I can't really find the images online yet. Doesn't seem like they're all online yet, so I'm just going through and using screenshots and whatever to show off all the cards. No idea how long this video is going to be. I'm just going to talk about the card, give my initial reaction to them, my opinion on whether I think they're good, bad, mediocre, OP, etc., whether they can go in some existing decks, maybe create new decks, you know, a typical card reaction video. So let's start off with the first card. It's a Bilgewater card and a sea monster, so Deep gets some new cards in the set, it seems. Might be hinting at Illaoi too, maybe. Illaoi could have some Deep synergy. I hope not, because I don't want Illaoi to be tied to Deep, because I don't like Deep that much, but I like Illaoi as a champ. So yeah. This card, though, is a pretty good card. I think this card's really, really good. 4 mana, 3/4, Sea Monster. So it has Deep, so if you forgot, because you haven't played Deep in a while or haven't seen it, can't blame you, no one really plays Deep. Deep is when you have 15 or less cards in your deck, you become Deep, and your Sea Monsters have +3/+3 for the rest of the game. So that turns this into a 6/7. That's a pretty solid card. Now, once you're Deep, heal your allies and Nexus for 3 health. I've talked to other people in my chat about this. Most people I've talked to assume that if you summon this card after you're Deep, you still heal. If that's true, card's good. If it's not true and you have to have this on the board before you become Deep, this card is garbage. But I don't think it does that way. I think it I'm pretty sure, I would say like I'm 98% sure it's a summon this card after you're Deep and it still heals. So I like this card. 4 mana, 3/4. It's an okay stat line. Like 4 health is really just the biggest thing. Kind of awkward though to play early before you're Deep, because in the matchups where you actually care about the heal, aggro in other words, you will probably play this on turn 4 just to have the blocker. And I guess you might say, like, if your opponent does use removal, which is typically burn, like a Noxian Fervor or Get Excited or Mystic Shot, you're pretty happy with that. It's kind of like healing because it's less burn hitting your face. So yeah, I just don't, while it's a powerful card, don't get me wrong, I think this card is really powerful. I don't think this is fixing Deep's problems, and I also don't think this goes into other decks besides Deep. Sure, Bilgewater doesn't really have much healing, but this is not really healing for a non-Deep Bilgewater deck. Like, there's like Citrus Courier and Nami's Champ Spell, whatever that card is called, Ebb and Flow, I think. And I'd rather play, like, if I really, really wanted healing in Bilgewater and my secondary region can't give me healing, I'd rather just play either more removal or Ebb and Flow. But yeah, I like the card. It seems solid for Deep. Deep does seem to have a little bit of problem in the mid game, and while they usually are Shadow Isles for Maokai, there's been like PNZ Deep before with like Nautilus TF. But the heal on your units, I think, is the more important thing. And it is nice to heal your face too, of course. But Shadow Isle's always had healing for face and things like Withering Wail, but it's still a nice card. It's solid mid-game card for Deep to help them not die to more aggressive decks. Next card, what do we have here? Another Bilgewater card. We got Blood in the Water. I don't know how to evaluate this card. 5 mana, slow spell. Also a lurk spell, so lurk's liking this. Deal 1 to anything, then rally. So Shunpo saw some play. Shunpo is the 5 mana, deal 2, then rally. If you don't remember or you just weren't playing, Shunpo saw some play when Ash LeBlanc Legion Marauders were being played, and you would use Shunpo just to get some more attacks in with your units. I think this card is going to see some play. I don't know how much play it's going to see. 5 mana rally is fine. And it does do a little extra. Sure, it's not killing it as much like Shunpo is, but it can hit the Nexus, so it does have a little plunder synergy, I guess. And there's enough 1 health stuff out there that you probably can kill something. As for the obvious choice, the obvious option, Lurk. I think it's fine in Lurk. I think it's a solid 1, maybe even a 2 of in Lurk. This would like Zurzareth and Dunebreaker. Helps you just win games. You have a Zurzareth. Zurzareth having 6 health makes it so it can attack multiple times. And being able to rally is nice. Yeah, so I think it's a good, just like an extra win con for Lurk. Outside of Lurk, though, maybe Deep can run this as a 1 of 2. Outside of that, I don't know. There aren't really that many Bilgewater decks out there, like Pirate Burn. I don't think Pirate Burn would run this. Scouts. I mean, Scouts has Golden Aegis. I don't know why you would run this over Golden Aegis and Scouts. That sounds dumb. So yeah, but yeah, like the obvious one, Lurk would like this as a 1 of for Zurzareth and Dunebreaker, and maybe even Pike. Kind of got a balance though with how much late game you want between this and Jawlfish, I think. But I like the card for Lurk as a 1 of. What do we have next though? Oh, we're heading to Demacia now. Okay. So, Broodfather. Protective Broodfather. 8 mana, 7/7, and it's a dragon. With Fury, of course, because it's a dragon. Attack. Draw a unit. If it's a dragon, summon it attacking. First things first, I think it's a bad card. Does that mean I don't think it's fun? No, I think this card's really fun. I think this card is going to be a lovely, fun meme. But I just don't see this being good for a serious try-hard deck, you know, the sweaty deck, basically. Even for dragons, like a dragon deck, dragons aren't even that good, first off, and I just don't see this being good for dragons or decks outside of dragons. I really don't think you should play this outside of dragons. You might say, streamer, even if it whiffs, though, and doesn't hit a dragon, it still draws a unit. And it can hit champions, too. Yeah, but it's 8 mana. Look at cards that are around this mana cost, like 7, 8 mana. They're almost always doing something right away. Like a good, clear example, Captain Farron. Compare Captain Farron to Protective Broodfather. Captain Farron has Overwhelm. Much, much better keyword than Fury is in the late game. Captain Farron, sure, doesn't have any like tribal synergy like Dragon synergy, but I'd rather have Farron. Farron has the Overwhelm keyword, so if Farron gets to attack, he's pushing in a lot of damage thanks to his Overwhelm keyword. Broodfather gets chumped because of Fury. You might say like, oh, Dragon's Clutch, Dragon's Clutch. Yeah, but then you need a second card too. Also, more importantly, Captain Farron actually does something when you summon him right away. He gives you 2 decimates. Let's say your opponent has an Equinox or a Vengeance. The Equinox Farron, they lose Overwhelm and can chump him, whatever. They Vengeance Farron, you're like, okay, whatever, I lost Farron, but I got 2 decimates. Your opponent plays Equinox or Vengeance on Broodfather, you're like, okay, my 8 mana dragon just got dealt with for 6 mana with a Vengeance, or it got silenced by a 1 mana Equinox, and now it's just an 8 mana 7/7 with no text. That sucks. Still though, here's the thing. I think the card is fun. I think it's a funny meme, and I'm definitely going to be trying to hit Aurelion Soul with this. Maybe in the future, if there is Predict in Demacia, or a way to put certain cards on top of your deck in Demacia, or Targon, you can put like Aurelion Soul on top and try to do some shenanigans with Broodfather, but then you still run into the same problem I was talking about. Stuns, kills, silences, etc., just make this card sad. Still, I think it's fun. I like the card. Solid hit from Tri-Beam, I guess, too. I don't know, but I like it. Definitely more for the content, the Twitch YouTube content, than a serious tournament deck. Anyway, what do we have next? We got Hunting Boar. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you like this card. I think it's trash. I think this is the worst card that was shown today. Hunting Boar is a 3-mana 2/1 that cannot block. That sucks. Last Breath gets an empty mana gem. That's a great card, though. Or that's a great effect. Here's the problem. It's understated and it can't block. Your opponent almost never blocks this. You might say, like, why don't I put this in like what's it called? An aggro deck. First off, Freljord aggro's kind of more overwhelm and doesn't want this. And plus, if there is a non-overwhelm Freljord aggro deck, you're really going to play a 3-mana 2/1? No. So it's going to be in a slower, more mid-rangey, control-y ramp deck, and your opponent's never going to block it. Think about Avarosan Sentry. A lot of the times you'll see someone have an Avarosan Sentry attacking, and your opponent never blocks because they don't want to give them the card right away. So, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Hunting Boar. I think if you do, for some reason, want to actually play Hunting Boar, you need to play it in a deck that can kill it. So, Shadow Isles, right? Use Gluttony to try to kill Hunting Boar and summon that, like, 4-mana 7/7 Alligator. That's kind of cute, but... yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's good enough. If it could block or it was 2 mana, I'd be much, much more interested. But yeah, at 3 mana and without being able to block, I think it's bad. Honestly, if it was 3 mana 2/1 and that's it, it could block, and it had the Last Breath, of course, I think this card would be strong. I think it would be really, really strong if it could block. But yeah, I'm not interested in this card. I think this card is bad and should not be in any decks. Ah, yes, Revna. Very cute card. And by that, I mean the art. Hello, mommy. But also the card itself, the actual card, pretty cute ability. 6 mana 2/2. When I'm summoned, grant units in your deck my stats, then draw a unit with 5+ power. Destiny's Call Revna. Sounds awful, but I don't know. I like the card. It's really slow. Like, here's the problem with these kind of like stat granting cards. It's so slow. Sure, it draws you a card too, which is nice. So she does replace herself because she's a 6 mana 2/2. You might say, like, what if you buff her in hand, like some hand buff? That's okay. But then that's what, like Freljord Ionia? Freljord Ionia is kind of weak. So yeah, not a fan of that. But I don't know. She's nice. She's also an epic too, so Telescope can find her. Even though Telescope's not really played that much anymore, because again, the game's just so fast right now. But yeah, it's basically Avarosan Hearthguard. She is Avarosan Hearthguard, but a bigger buff and a smaller body and a little more expensive. But in exchange, she gets to draw a card. So that's kind of nice. But here's the thing. Avarosan Hearthguard is really slow too, and doesn't really see much play. And what deck would play this? That's the other thing. What deck wants to play Revna? I think like Ash LeBlanc would rather just play Hearthguard if they want this, because, you know, it helps with reputation. Trifarian Assessor draws a card off of the Hearthguard, so not sure. But yeah, I don't know. Cute card though, very cute art. Next card though, what do we have? Another Freljord card. I like it. Harbinger of Thralls. 2 mana 2/2. Play. Summon a Frozen Thrall or advance all your Frozen Thralls 1 round. This card is easy to evaluate. This card is solid, but it only goes into 1 deck, and that is Thralls. Turbo Thralls. Turbo Thralls does like this, of course. Don't get me wrong. But outside of Turbo Thralls, no one else is playing this. Like, maybe if another Thrall deck shows up, but I feel like if another Thrall deck shows up, that's just going to be a variation on Turbo Thralls. But yeah, Turbo Thralls will like this. Like, Turbo Thralls doesn't see too much play nowadays because of reasons. But I think it's solid. I think Turbo Thralls is a solid deck that's just fallen out of favor and is just waiting for the right meta. And yeah, this helps it. Like, Turbo Thralls I feel like when Turbo Thralls does lose, a lot of time it loses to its own deck. And Harbinger of Thralls does help fix some of Turbo Thrall's early game consistency issues. If you don't draw the 1-mana Frozen Thrall early, you kind of just have to wait for Lysandra on 3 to get your first Thrall and start advancing the Thralls and copying, etc., etc. So this is just a nice extra Frozen Thrall generator that's not Lysandra or actual Frozen Thrall itself. So I like it at least as a 1 of, maybe even a 2 of. Some people even say, like, how about a 3 of? And I can even see it being played as a 3 of, because here's the thing. It's unlike Frozen Thrall, which I think you should still at least play 3 Frozen Thralls. Maybe go down to 2. This card is not dead in the late game. Like Frozen Thrall, dead in the late game. This card, it's still a blocker, which is not a great blocker, but it blocks, and it advances your Frozen Thralls, which is pretty nice. So yeah, big fan of this card. Also big fan of this card. Stage Hand. Moving to Ionia now. Stage Hand, 2 mana 4/4 with Ephemeral. So, you know, you got the Ephemeral strategy, Death Mark, I think, the 3 mana transfer Ephemeral to enemy unit. Hecarim, of course, probably likes this, but who plays Hecarim, right? Play. Stun an enemy. I love that. Besides just Yasuo, because woo, stun Yasuo. I like this card. It's a very nice defensive card. You're against an aggro deck or even a mid-range deck, and your opponent passes priority to you on an attack phase, and they, for some reason, don't want to open attack. You play Stage Hand, stun the scariest unit they have, and then you can use this card, which is a very big body for its cost. 4/4 for 2. That's blocking a lot of things in combat against more aggressive decks. And also, since it's ephemeral, I mean, I'm just defining ephemeral here. Since it's ephemeral, it's going to die by the end of the turn. You know who likes cards that die? Viego. This is a 5th of a Viego level up. Viego needs to see 20 power dying. Well, this is 4 out of 20, and you will probably get another Encroaching Mist too. So get the Viego buff, more Encroaching Mist for a little extra Viego level up synergy. I like it. It also kind of helps Viego Kindred too. Viego Kindred does have a little bit of problem in the early game, so this helps out its consistency a little bit. So I'm a big fan of this card. I like it. Very, very nice card. It feels really powerful. I feel like I'm overrating it in all honesty. It definitely is not goes into everything kind of card, but it reminds me of Concussive Palm. Sure, it can't be used during combat like Concussive Palm can be, but I still think it's a solid card. Very powerful. Honestly, I could see it even getting nerfed in the future. Ooh, this card. I like this card. The Maker. 3 mana 3/2, another Ionia card. Playability, recall a unit with less power than me. First off, it's less. It's not less than or equal to, so you can't recall like a Swain, an unleveled up Swain, of course. But you know what things are have very low power? Formidable stuff. So, you know, pop a Spell Shield on Galio and bounce Galio back to your opponent's hand. They might actually like that because they can replay Galio then, but Broadwing is also pretty good to bounce back to the opponent's hand. Sure, it is a skill, so your opponent could kill the Maker in response to the skill with just a Mystic Shot because she has 2 health. But you're in Ionia, you're probably playing Twin Discipline, so if you really want the ability to go through, you can use Twin or Nopify or Deny or something to keep her safe. And also you can get a little cute too. You can use things like Freezes and Troll Chance to shrink your opponent's stuff. And since your opponent can react to, you can also react and buff the Maker to make her to try to guarantee the bounce. I assume she's gonna be like Devourer of the Depths though, where Devourer of the Depths, the 6 mana fish and sea monsters that obliterates a unit that has less power than it, I believe. I think it goes by power. Or is it health? It has less, whose health is less than its power? It's something like that. I can't actually remember. Or I think its health is less than its health. It's been a while since I played Deep, okay? But Devourer can't target things that are bigger than it. So in other words, you couldn't target something that's bigger than Maker and then play like a Mystic Shot or, well, I guess a Freeze or something. You'd have to do the Freezes and Troll Chance before you play Maker. But yeah, solid card. I think this card is really, really strong. Got a lot of versatility to it. You can hit your opponent's stuff. You can hit your own stuff. So it gives a huge amount of versatility. Stats are a little bad for the cost, 3 mana for a 3/2, and yeah, but I still like the card. You can use it to get some tempo by bouncing your opponent's scary stuff away if it's small enough, or try to get some value by bouncing your stuff back to your hand and playing it again for more summon/play abilities. So I like it. Big fan of this card. Anyway, what do we have next? We got Storm of Blades. So I'll be honest with you, I think this card is bad. 5 mana slow spell for the rest of the game. When you Blade Dance, summon another attacking blade. And you also get a Blade Dance 1 right away. I think this is just too slow, too expensive. And I feel like Aziralia, the main Blade Dance deck, I feel like Aziralia's problem is just that it is a little too slow getting its combos set up. Like its combos set up, like, you know, like with the Azir, once it gets the Azirs going, the Emperor's Deus ready, maybe the what's it called? The Aurelias themselves set up, and this is really slow and not really helping that out. Now I will say this. Some people who are considered some of the best Aziralia players in the game, even back when Aziralia was a top tier deck, have been saying this is a very underrated card. Some of them have even been saying it's a good card. I'll be honest with you, I don't think so. I kind of disagree, but they're a lot better than me and they've actually played Aziralia. I've only played against Aziralia. I can see the theoretical curve. Turn 1 Sparring Student, turn 2 Bank the 2 mana, turn 3 Storm of Blades. That is really cute. But I'd rather just go turn 1 Student, turn 2 Emperor's Deus, turn 3 Azir. I think you have better things to be doing on turn 2 and 3 than just banking mana and playing Storm of Blades. And is the payoff enough? I don't know. Like, how many Blade Dances do you have to go and use before you feel like you've gotten your mana's worth out of this 5 mana? Because you're losing tempo. You're losing a lot of tempo for this, but I don't know. Maybe Misfortune Aurelia likes this. Who knows? I don't like it, but maybe there's some potential here I'm not seeing. Next card up, what do we got? Kinku's Call. I like this card. Not really a card I'm probably going to play, but because it's not an archetype I would play, but Kinku's Call. 4 mana slow spell, summon a Keeper of Masks. Keeper of Masks is the 2/3 that buffs your units for the turn and gives them +1/+0, I believe, is the buff. But you can summon a Keeper of Masks now or at the next round start, and then you get to draw 1 card. So the obvious play, like what they want you to do here is, from what I'm seeing of this card, is they're wanting you to set up a strong open attack. You play this card, you choose to summon the Keeper on the next round start, and then you get a bunch of units on the board, leaving room of course for Keeper, and then next round starts, you summon Keeper, the Keeper gets summoned, and then you attack in with everything to prevent your opponent from casting slow spells or casting units like or slow spells like Avalanche or Ruination or whatever. So I see what it's trying to do. Here's the problem, in my opinion. Who wants this deck? Or who wants this card? What deck wants this card? I think, like, I don't know, maybe some kind of Kennen deck? Keeper of the Masks, or Keeper of Masks used to see play. Like, it saw a decent amount of play, too. Like, you would play Keeper of Masks, bounce back to your hand, and replay it again in elusive decks, like with Zed, too. Like Zed with Freljord for Elixir of Iron. Here's the thing, that was a long time ago. The meta and the game is much faster, and there are a lot more anti-elusive cards now, like Quicksand. So yeah, I don't know. I like the card. I think it's strong, and it cycles itself. Cards that replace themselves, I'm always a little wary of, so I think there's some potential here. I just think the go wide Ionia aggressive decks are just really bad right now, which is what Kinku's Call wants to be used for. Anyway, Captive Greyback. I don't know how to evaluate this card. 4 mana 2/3 with Overwhelm. Terrible stats for the cost. Attack, it's a skill. I deal 3 to my blocker. If it's dead or gone, I deal 3 damage to the enemy Nexus instead. And it has Overwhelm too, so if the enemy unit is gone, it also pushes its Overwhelm damage. I think it's strong, but a little awkward And I just don't know what deck wants to play this. Like, do you play this in Burn? Do you play this in Overwhelm? I don't know. I've seen a lot of people tell me it's like a 5/3 quick attack Overwhelm for 4. And I'm just like, I kind of see what they're trying to say, but not really. But I don't know. I like it. I like the card. I think it's... I'll say this, as a control player, like I'm evaluating this as a control player, and this is definitely not a control card, but if I saw my opponent play Captive Greyback and I'm a control player, depending on the deck I'm playing, of course, I'm scared of this card. If I'm a PNZ deck, I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, I'll just Sum Fumes or get excited in it. If I'm not playing PNZ and I'm playing like, I don't know, Targon or Freljord or Ionia, this is terrifying. Like, Eye of the Dragon and the Dragonlings do nothing against this. Targon doesn't really do much against this. I guess you can Equinox it. Freljord, you can say, like, oh, I can Troll Chant. Yeah, but it still deals 3 to your unit that's blocking, so gotta be careful with that. So, I don't know. It's definitely interesting, but I feel like it's just... I feel like it's strong. I will say that. I think it's a strong card. I think it just needs to find the right home. And maybe that home's with Jhin. What's our next card, though? Ooh, I love this guy. This is... Out of all the cards we've seen today, this right here is my favorite card outside of Jhin, of course. Legion Deserter. 5 mana, 5/4 Noxus card with Overwhelm. I gain all allied everywhere buffs. So if a card says like buff all blank everywhere, this guy should get that buff too. Rumble buffs all rumbles everywhere, giving them quick attack, spell shield, and impact. If you have Rumble and you give your Rumbles everywhere quick attack, spell shield, and impact, this guy's getting quick attack, spell shield, and impact. Okay, and Rumble is a Bandle City Noxus card, and Encroaching Mist gives all Encroaching Mist and Viegos everywhere +1/+1. So Encroaching Mist gives this guy +1/+1 as well. So Viego, Rumble, Legion Deserter is kind of what I'm thinking right now. Is that a little too much top end? Maybe, but you have things like Ravenous Flock and Arachnoid Sentry. You're also in Shadow Isle, so you can play Withering Wail too. It's definitely looking pretty fun, at the very least. Is it good? I don't know. I feel like this is going to be so annoying. A big Spell Shield Overwhelm guy with Rumble, and then your opponent still has to deal with Viego and Rumble himself. Kind of going to be annoying for your opponent to deal with. But yeah, like this guy is who I'm planning to play with right away on day 1. Can't wait to play with this guy. Next card up, though. What do we got? Lord Broadmane. I like this card. I think this card is not that great, but I like him. Lord Broadmane is a 6 mana 2/4. Terrible stats for the cost. Playability, deal 2 to an enemy. Okay, so he's just from that, he's like a Mystic Shot on a stick that can't go face. And then he basically has an aura. Your fast spells, slow spells, and skills have, when I damage a stunned or damaged enemy, kill it. Okay, it's kind of like a Scorched Earth Ravenous Flock kind of thing. Interesting. So that also means like he's kind of like a Scorched Earth on a stick when you think about it, because if he deals 2 damage to an enemy and it's already damaged, in theory he should kill them unless they like Guiding Touch it or something. So, I don't know. I really just feel like if he was just 1 mana cheaper or had 1 more health, I'd be a much bigger fan of this guy, but he's just... The game is so fast is basically what I'm saying right now. But I do think this will really help for a lot of the meta. Pantheon probably hates this guy and is terrified of this guy. What do you play this in is the real question. Do you put it in Tribeam? Do you put it in Swain decks? I don't know. I mean, like, it does help level up Swain. That's cute, but then you're playing like 3 Swains, probably 3 Leviathans, and how many Broadmanes? That's a lot of expensive cards you're starting to play now. But yeah, I like the card. I think he's fun. I just wish he was a little bit stronger, but I'll definitely try him out. Seems nice. Anyway, what do we got next? Okay, this is a meme. Sputtering Song Spinner, 7 mana burst speed spell in PNZ. I feel like before we read it too much, I should say this. It's worded incorrectly. The card they showed us is worded incorrectly. It's basically a manifest card. Pick one of 2 new 2-cost cards to create in hand. Basically, it's supposed to be spells. It only hits spells, so pick one of 2 2-mana spells to create in hand. I don't understand the new part, but whatever. We'll figure it out once they give us the new actual proper text of it. And then set its cost to 0 this round and repeat it 2 more times. So it's a 7-mana spell that's showing you 2 choices, and you get to choose one of those 2 choices, and you do it 2 more times. So you're getting 3 2-mana spells for 7 mana. It's manifesting them, but instead of giving you 3 options, it only gives you 2 options. So Shellfolk kind of likes this, but it feels a little too win more, in my opinion. Like, Shellfolk does not need more late game, which this is what it does. Like, this is just giving more late game. So I don't see, as much as I love this card, this is the kind of card I love, like clunky, dirtily bad. I don't think this card is the card to play with in any deck. Like, Karma for more value is cute, and Shellfolk's nice, but they don't need that. This is not the card that they're looking for. I will say this, though. I think it's a good card to get off of Pharaoh's Financier. I feel like most of the time, though, if I want more late game, I'd rather pick Progress Day. But, you know, sometimes you don't see Progress Day every time, so you'll just choose this instead. So, I like it. I'm a fan. Really, I feel like that's the biggest impact this card's going to have, is just getting picked up out of Pharaoh's Financier. Anyway, what do we have next? Okay, this card. Chamber of Renewal. This card's scary. Chamber of Renewal is a 3-mana Shurima landmark. When you summon a champ, destroy me to grant it +2/+1 and spell shield. Action Lee Sin is a fringe deck. This is scary. I really would be scared of this. Like, you're here. Let's do this scenario. You're playing Action Lee Sin. You play Chamber of Renewal on like 4 or something, and then you play a turn 5 Lee Sin. Your Lee Sin, assuming he's not leveled up, he's now what? A 5/6 with spell shield. So now not only do they have to go through all of the Ionia protection spells, Lee Sin's barrier that's built into him already, and now they also have to go through a spell shield as well? That's crazy. Now, is this too slow? Because this card is not doing anything to fight on the board. This is definitely meant for more of a champion-centric combo-y deck. Not full combo, but you got to do some kind of combo with this. I think it's good enough. Sure, it is fighting with things like Quicksand and Hourglass, and you probably want to like balance how many Quicksands, Hourglasses, and Chambers you want to play in your deck alongside a Rite of Negation too. But I think this is definitely gonna have a home in some decks. There's also like Renekton, turn 3 Chamber, turn 4 Renekton. You'll have now a 6/5 with Spell Shield Renekton. That's gonna be really tough to deal with. You also could play like Action Udyr, giving Udyr Spell Shield. Mono Viego with Shurima is a deck right now. I think it's the most played deck, in fact. Mono Viego getting Spell Shield right away with this, and a buff too, is pretty scary. So I don't know. I'm scared of this card. It's a very scary card. What do we got next, though? Only a few more cards left. Oh, this card. I think this card has potential. Harrowing Return. 4 mana slow spell. Revive an ephemeral copy of the strongest dead allied follower and give enemies -1/-0 this round. I don't think this card is good in the current game, but I do think there might be something. It's a powerful ability. I will say that it's a powerful card. It's a very strong ability. I just don't see what deck wants this. Maybe when more Shadow Wilds and just more cards in general get shown off, maybe we can see this. But first off, you don't really get to choose what's getting revived, so there's that. And most people I've talked to are like, oh yeah, just bring back a big fearsome. Like maybe this is a one of in like Nightfall and it brings back Nocturne. Like, sure. Like I can see that because Nocturne is usually the biggest thing in Nightfall, and some Nightfall players even play Harrowing to bring back a big board and have, you know, Nocturne shrink the board. So maybe in Nightfall I could see this, but you know, my me brain is like, what if we somehow give Cythria, 10 mana Cythria Ephemeral and have her die, and then we use this to bring back Cythria, and that's way too slow and memey and inconsistent, but it's fun. So I think there's potential with this card. I just don't know if it's good enough for the game at the moment. Maybe it needs another card or two. And maybe I'm just dumb and I don't see anything. And what we have next. Winding Light, our Targon card. The last card, too, for the Aphelios Moon weapon cycle, where, you know, all those units that the moon weapons are based on, you know, like Fangs is Severum, etc., etc. Crescendum, I think, is like Sky's Descent, and this is, I believe this is supposed to be Infernum. But yeah, Winding Light, 7 mana, 6/5, Overwhelm. Nightfall, give other allies +2/+1 and overwhelm this round. I think it's solid. I think it's a very solid card. Now, what deck wants this card though? First off, it's a pretty solid card to get randomly through RNG generation from I can't remember the name of it, but like Unending Horror, the 2 mana Nightfall ping, and the 1 mana, you know, Nightfall create a Daybreak card, Daybreak create a Nightfall card spell, focus speed spell. That card's pretty solid. So it's pretty good to get randomly generated, of course. But I think like maybe a Leona deck, like a Daybreak deck. Daybreak decks always have traditionally had a problem ending games. You play like that 1 mana Daybreak / Nightfall combo spell, whatever you want to call it, and then you activate Nightfall that way, and then you bring out Winding Light. Gives your entire board a buff, gives you a gives your units overwhelm, and you crash in for a lot of damage. Seems pretty strong to me. Leona Diana, maybe? Like, Leona Diana has seen some play before, like a mono Targon Leona Diana splashing for Atrocity. It's a fairly sizable card, too, for Atrocity. Who knows, though? I don't know. I think it's a solid, like, 1 to 2 of in Leona decks, maybe even in Nightfall decks, too, could play this. So, I like the card. I think it has some strong potential. Anyway, our last card. You probably know exactly who it is by now. We've been saving him for last. We got Jhin. Sadly, we don't have as clean of an image for Jhin, but this is what we got. So Jhin, 4 mana 4/4, because, you know, of course they're gonna make Jhin a 4 mana 4/4 because 4 Omega Laugh. Jhin is the first of the Runeterra champions, which don't belong in any one region, but they have they're like their own thing. So you can play the Runeterra champ and you can add another region. So you could add, like, you could be Jhin, Noxus, Jhin, Ionia, etc., etc. But you can add, like, other cards from other regions that's not your secondary region if they fit the criteria of the Runeterra champ. And for Jhin, that is followers that have skills. Also, it seems like there's this thing called Origin that's going on where it says, basically, if the Runeterra champ, the Origin champ, whatever you want to call it, is in the deck, or started in the deck, you get whatever the Origin is. And for Jhin, it's the Virtuoso. If a Jhin started in your deck, for every 3 fast spells, slow spells, or skills you play while you behold Jhin, play Lotus Trap. What's Lotus Trap real quick? Let's go look at it. Lotus Trap is a skill. Deal 1 to the enemy nexus. If Jhin is in play, stun the weakest enemy. Okay, so it's a skill. So it's going to help level up Jhin. And then, of course, like I said earlier, you may put any follower that has a skill in your deck during deck building. So if you're like, I don't know, Jhin PNZ, you could add Arachnoid Sentry into your deck even though it's a Noxus card. Anyway though, what else does Jhin do? There's a lot of stuff here. Jhin has a skill himself. 4 mana 4/4. When he attacks, deal 2 to all stunned enemies. Okay. Kind of cute. Works well with the Virtuoso. You play like some skills, spells, whatever. Stun the weakest stuff, and then Jin like deals damage to them. Kind of sucks that Jin doesn't have a keyword, though, I will say that. So, you know, like no quick attack, no tough, whatever. No, I don't know, Fury, whatever. I don't know what Jin would even have. But to level up Jin, you've played 12 fast spells, slow spells, or skills. It's a big number, don't get me wrong, 12 is a lot, but I don't think it's that big of a number. Like, when it's both fast, slow spells and skills, I think you'll get it quite quickly. Jin himself has a skill, so he helps that. Lotus Trap is also a skill, so that's helping you to level up Jin. And like a lot of champs, he levels up in your deck, it seems. He doesn't seem to have to see you playing these cards, these spells, these skills, whatever. So, I like him. I'm a big fan of him. Nothing really comes to mind when I look at Jin, like, right away. I like that, though. I like that Jin doesn't seem to be having an obvious pairing, like a, you know, Tom Raka or Maokai, Nautilus kind of thing. I like that. He reminds me kind of Ezreal, where it's like, oh, you can just throw this guy with a lot of different things. Like, he's very versatile, kind of like a Gnar, a Poppy, etc., etc. I feel like he's going to be best in more of an aggressive tempo-y deck, though, because of his ability and, you know, stuns for tempo and stuff. But, you know, maybe there's a control deck that likes him, or even a more grindy mid-range deck. But we got a little bit more to talk about with Jin really quick. Let's see what else we got. We got his champ spell, Dancing Grenade. I think it's a pretty solid card. 4 mana slow spell, deal 1 to a unit. That's awful. Create a second bounce in hand at the next round start. Okay, what's second bounce do, though? Second bounce is a 0 mana fleeting spell that's also slow. Deal 4 to a unit. Okay, so it's like 4 mana to deal 5 damage, but it's spread out over 2 turns. It's not great. I'll say that. It's not a great card, and I would not play this card in my deck. I don't think you can even play this card in your deck because it's a Runeterra champ spell, but for a champion spell, I think it's pretty solid. And that's the kind of champ spell I like. Like, mediocre kind of card, like not that great to actually put in your deck, but pretty solid, and doesn't make you upset to actually draw the second copy of them, of the champs. And then finally, we got our level 2 Jin. When Jin levels up, he is a 4/4 with quick attack. I know it. He doesn't gain any stats because, you know, 4 and stuff, like, cool. So he doesn't get the +1/+1 like most champs do, which is whatever. Now, though, when he attacks, deal 4 to all stunned enemies and the enemy nexus. Okay, so now he hits the nexus. That's a lot of damage. That's a decimate, basically, whenever he attacks. And it doesn't seem like it's that hard to level him up, so this is scary. And now he can attack. Now that he has quick attack when he levels up, he can attack fairly safely thanks to quick attack. I don't know. I'm kind of scared of Jin. Like, he's really, really scary. Like, I hope we get some kind of, like, anti-aggro or anti-mid-range or some just cards to help stabilize the mid-game, because this Jin is really scary. Anyway, though, that is it. Those are all the cards that have been revealed for today. A lot of them, as you can see. But yeah, long video too, of course. There's a lot of cards, so it's going to be a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it, chat. I'd love to hear your opinion on the upcoming set and just the cards in general. What do you think of them? What is your favorite card so far? Do you like Jin? Do you think he's great or not? Do you like, where is it? This card, Legion Deserter? Do you think I'm overhyping the Legion Deserter and think he's not that great and more of a meme? Or do you think he's just solid in the right deck or something? And also, like, what kind of ideas do you have for decks to build? I'd love to hear your opinion down in the comments below. But anyway, though, I hope you all enjoyed the video as well. And if you enjoyed the video, of course, please be sure to leave a like or a comment down below. Always helps me and the channel out. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zeneton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, Thank you all once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye.